Welcome back to the channel. Today we want to look at the challenges facing the AfCFTA, which is of course a challenge that is going to restrain us from getting the One Africa big market, the One Africa economy. So we are looking at infrastructural deficit. We have known Africa to be very low on infrastructural provisions. There are no basic amenities. There are no infrastructure to support such a big market. So infrastructure range from a lot of things. No reliable railways, poor roads, congested ports, weak energy grid, limited digital connectivity, and a lot of them. So many things. This infrastructure are major for an economy to move. And right now, we are seeing that none of these actually are working at even 70%. They are all below being said to be doing well. So we are having a serious problem with that. The next challenge is the NTBs. These are the non-trade tariff barriers, right? The non-tariff barriers are other ways that the custom bodies and unions really restrain movement of goods and services, clearing of goods, and other things that have to do with moving from one border to another. It may not be that they are charging you the tariffs, but just the bureaucratic process, to clear you, licensing, the standard that are being set are actually quite very difficult and limiting to entrepreneurs. So this, of course, are the challenges that must be looked into in the achievement of the Africa Free Trade Continental Area objectives. And this is why One Africa economy is coming in. We will advocate for this. We are going to sensitize people about it so that they'll know what to take and what not to take, what to do and what not to do, and also to put exactly what is not proper out there so that changes can come true. We have incomplete and slow implementation. That's another challenge. I remember when I said the Guided Trade Initiative, which is the GTI, the microscopic implementation of the agenda of the AfCFTA was executed in West Africa, and Nigeria was not able to be part of it. Why? Because they were too slow. We were not able to put up the document to tell exactly what is happening in the commercial activity of certain line of businesses and goods that were actually agreed to be part of the Guided Trade Initiative. That protocol actually launched the AfCFTA, and Nigeria, as a giant of Africa in West Africa, could not be part of it. Why? It was tested in West Africa. So now when you look at scaling high this very AfCFTA objective to the entire Africa country, there will be slow countries who may not be able to come in when necessary, right? So all of this is a serious issue, and we are seeing how it is actually impeding on the progress of the AfCFTA objective. Now, the next is regulatory and fragmentation of divergent national interest. We are talking about 54 countries that are politically independent, and they have their policies, initially economically, trying to come together as a big market. There have been issues, countries trying to adjust to one another. It's also causing a challenge. But we know on the long run, this standard will be unified, these policies will be unified, the systems will be unified, of course, legalized, so no one will be able to challenge anybody or trying to slow anyone on the, on the implementation or the access to this provision as an entrepreneur or a trader. The next is limited private sector or SMEs participation. The small businesses are not able to partake in this, and the reasons are simple. When we talk about women, when we talk about youth, the women are not well supported. Youth have not been able to gain access to capital and to connection as others. So you see that people have dreams, people have potentials, people have small businesses. They cannot scale, they cannot enjoy the provisions of this very project. Why? Because the system is yet to create that possibility for them. So youth-led businesses are facing high compliance costs, lack of trade information, lack of access to finance, and also the capacity to meet the standard. So these are actually challenges that must be dealt with if we want to move forward and want an equal participation of everyone. Remember, the idea for AfCFTA, the reason why One Africa organization is set up, to see that when AfCFTA begin to work at the level it should be democratic. Everyone should be able to participate and enjoy what's there. If you, as I said earlier, in the comparison of the GDP and the standard of life, I told you why. That the GDP is there looking high, but very few wealthy people have access to the whole gross domestic production and the outcome there. So that's exactly what's going to happen here if we are not careful. So the One Africa economy is actually to advocate that this policy should be made for everyone to be part of it. Women, youth, all kinds of business SMEs should be supported to enjoy. Amenities should be provided. Infrastructure should be set up. If this have to happen, and we need to achieve this in this next 10 years, the next decade should show a very big progress, a serious gap between where we are now and the level of progress we should be at that time. The next challenge is low intra-Africa trade growth. Yes, how can we grow when the infrastructures are not there? How can we grow when the roads are bad, no railways, and we are still having the NTBs, which are the non-tariff barriers, bureaucratic processes where people are not really giving the right support to carry on trade within Africa. Some people just prefer to export than to trade within Africa, and that's bad because we are still struggling with value. We want to export value added materials and reduce the importation of goods. So if we want to progress, we need to find every way to cut away every limitations from infrastructure to the NTBs so that people can actually trade within Africa. Another one is the financing and fiscal constraint. We have high debt across Africa, very high debt. So where we see that government and certain institutions should be funding innovations, they can't because the money may not be there. We remember when America was progressing. If you study the history of the American economy, you see that what America did was a lot of venture capitalists coming out to support innovation. That's not happening in Africa. They even in China, even in Japan, even in Germany, they will set up different public agencies that will look out for innovations to support and help them grow, bring training, bring education to make them better. But it's not happening here. Why? Because of high debt, limited fiscal space, and reliance on external funding. And all this is slowing infrastructure, all this is slowing funding of financing of investment, financing of innovations. So we must do better. We must really do better. And if we want to really kill the debt in Africa, we must stop exporting raw materials and importing finished goods. And this can only happen when we run such a system as a single economy and promote industrialization and also promote infrastructural development. Now, another one is on equal benefit and readiness gap. On equal benefit, larger economies enjoy these AfCFTA protocols or a structure than the smaller economies, because we have a larger producing economy like Nigeria, Egypt, and of course South Africa, for instance. They are going to enjoy all of this than others. So what provisions have been made, to actually help the smaller economies to measure up, the smaller economies to step up? Because if we have a single market, every part of the market must enjoy these provisions, and there should be equal opportunities for all. So the readiness gap is so high. While Nigeria is ready and already progressive with the AfCFTA, other countries cannot even participate because they lack the infrastructure, they lack the financing, they lack the innovation, the development to be part of it. So all these are really very, very serious constraints and challenges of the AfCFTA, challenges of the single Africa economy. And that's why One Africa economy is not just here to expose them, but to work in different ways to see that these challenges are being addressed by the government, by business and organizations, and even of course by ourselves where we can. All right, so we are all in this. This is a fight to liberate Africa. This is a fight to liberate every individual, a fight to liberate households from poverty, from lack, a fight to liberate entrepreneurs from constraint, and to bring about a development in the continent. So these are actually the challenges, and we are hoping that we will do better from now. Next episode, we will be looking at the way forward. What should be done to actually improve all these things around the Africa economy, and to cut away these barriers and these challenges so that we can move forward to where we need to be. So see you in the next episode. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. State what you think. Do you think that despite these economic challenges of infrastructure, NTBs, and the rest, can Africa achieve the single economic goal? Can we achieve a single market? What do you think? Another question to really consider is, what can we do to create a fair and equitable opportunity for all in all of these provisions, both the SMEs, the women and the youth, and also countries that are far behind? How can we all bring them into this system that we are creating for the progress of the African people? So comment below, say what you think, say what you know, and we'll take it off from there. Of course, sometimes you might join to elaborate more on what you may be thinking if it so interests us. So see you again on the next episode. I remind myself, Louis from Abuja, Nigeria.